Live video is starting. Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Glasses on.
Hello, everyone. This is Steve Brandt from the Route 66 Spirit of America Museum. Just getting our live stream up and running for today. Let's see if we've got. There's Marilyn.
Hi.
And there's Inky. So,
The museum mascot.
yes.
Yeah.
Take it away, Marilyn.
Well, hello, and thank you again for sharing your museum with us. Having these wonderful monthly talks and brain puzzles and venting sessions, whatever you want to call them. They have been a lot of fun. Well, it's the end of summer. August has hit us hard as it does here in the Plains States. And so I thought it was time to think of something a little bit more light. So, one of the delightful little known events of the early days of Route 66 was what was called the Trans American Foot Race. And that foot race was a promotional maneuver. The people who were building on this wonderful concept of this transcontinental highway project decided that they needed to do things to keep it in the news. They were very marketing savvy. And so as a result, they ended up having these little mini foot races all along the length of Route 66. And it ended up that there was a young fellow out of Claremore, Oklahoma. He was a Native American young man. And he ended up winning what came to be called the Bunyan Derby, because everybody had to walk. And they were doing their fast walking, that heel toe kind of thing, where you're just walking and walking and walking, and you're keeping it at an even pace, and and water would be great. Yeah, and so, and they probably said it many times as they struggled along these roads, because you have to remember that at that point, not all of the road was even paved. A lot of these foot races that were run were on dirt roads.
Wow.
There were gravel covered roads.
Wow.
They were rocky and hurt, and to be honest, a lot of these people, they didn't have the nice Nikes with the cushioned soles and the comfortable support and stuff like that. And many of them were actually very poor young men who had shoes that had almost paper thin soles.
Oh my.
So they are running at their, they call it a race, but it was really more of a walk than a race. And they are covering that distance in shoes that some of them were multi-repaired. Brings to mind later on the racers who would tie their shoes together with tape and rope and everything else because they couldn't afford to fix the holes in their shoes. So you've got this wonderful race that goes on, and it captures the imagination of people for two reasons. One, they loved a good race. Be it horse race, hog race, chicken race, you name it, people would come out for a race.
Oh, animal races.
Yeah, and then two, there was a purse. And in the early 1920s, that a little bit of money was something very much to be appreciated. And so as a result, this young man ends up winning the race, and it did the work. It got everybody excited about, well, just think, we can actually follow this road all the way there. And we like to think of racing and athletic sports, and those are fun things. Those are play that we do. And that led around again. Everything comes back to these same key elements. Innovation, imagination, all those things. Because It's like when Einstein was asked by a parent, how can I create another you? How can I create a child that will be as brilliant as you are?
Oh, fascinating.
And he told that parent, and he would repeat this several times over the years, read to them fairy tales.
Oh, fairy tales.
Fairy tales.
Wow.
Because he understood the role of imagination
Wow.
in the thinking process. People who do not have the ability to imagine what could be are less likely to envision and create answers to solve problems.
Fascinating.
So when he was thinking of his own problems of time, space, relativity, how does all this work and all this kinds of stuff, it was his ability to imagine and think beyond what was accepted and normal for science right then. If he'd have said just read every science and math book you can find,
think beyond what was accepted and normal.
What he would have been telling would have been just perpetuating, don't try to learn anything more than what we've already learned.
Yeah.
Because you have to be able to conceptualize beyond and outside of that.
Yeah.
And that goes back to every innovation we've ever had. Every design and creative exploration of design or style or materials or anything like that has come because somebody was able to think above. Go back to the Star Trek movie where they go back to save the whales.
Oh boy.
And Scotty and Dr. McCoy are trying to explain to a 21st century contractor that they need basically what is transparent steel.
That's what they needed.
And they end up giving the formula for that to the 21st century contractor.
Yes.
And I've always been delighted when recently, just very recent months and years, there is now a company that has basically done exactly that. They have created a transparent steel-like substance.
I love it.
And I thought, okay, somebody imagined, and then the actual thing came up behind it.
Wow.
So we went through a period in the 1900s where parents believed seriously fairy tales were to be ignored. They were disastrous in the life of a healthy child.
Oh.
So thinking parents for several generations denied their children fairy tales.
Wow.
Hammered home reality, science, fact, all these kinds of things.
Wow.
And so as a result, when we came into the space program of the late 50s, what was the thing the government was having to do? The government was having to beef up the science programs
Yes, it was.
of the universities and high schools across the country.
Yes.
And part of it was the fact, I think, that they had been raised in that kind of don't go beyond what we already know and we can prove.
Okay.
They had lost the ability to imagine and go beyond that.
Wow.
Because once they begin to emphasize and offer science in a new context of going to the moon, then suddenly it was like, ooh, they begin to imagine and focus outward and say, well, what if, instead of what is. And so then as a result, you've got this wonderful stuff.
That's
Now,
a great expression. What if instead of what is?
That's right. That's right.
That should be a bumper sticker.
And still to this day, we have parents that complain about children playing too much.
Oh,
They need to be serious.
Oh.
They need to be serious. They need to do their schoolwork.
Oh, no.
They need to concentrate on their math and their science.
Oh my gosh.
And yes, that's very, very true, but the role of play in children is very important, and it's very important at any age.
At any age, even us folk.
Even us folk.
Okay.
The I've run across this little handy little thing. I use that pun intended. It's remembering things in fives.
Oh, handy.
Yeah. And so I have my cheat sheet here.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So we have to ask ourselves, why should we play? Why should you and I play? Why should Joe Smith walking down the street, why should he play?
Mm-hmm.
Why should the Johnson children play? Why?
Yes.
Because it's very significant and very identifiable in early childhood, but it also remains true throughout life. That play is an essential thing for a healthy brain's development.
Brain development.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There is a neurotropic factor, BDNF, and it can so craft and change the brain to the place that it makes changes on the genetic level.
Wow.
So when you play, it changes you down to the level of your genes,
Wow.
down to the DNA.
That's amazing.
And so that brain at play, they have done MRIs of people as they're playing, as they're reading, as they're listening to music, as they're doing art, as they're doing all these kinds of play things. And the brain is just alive with electrical circuitry,
Sure.
Lightning bolts of energy
Sure.
zapping through the brain cells of the brain, all in response to play.
I hear you.
And that can be art, it can be music, it can be going out and running around and chasing a ball, it can be various things, but it all starts with crafting and shaping the brain.
This reminds me of the difference between STEM education and STEAM education, because STEAM, the A stands for the arts, and that is much more well-rounded than STEM.
And it's very essential. All of those things are essential.
Yes.
And one of the things that we're looking at now with the health emphasis and that kind of thing is that when you play, it reduces obesity and the associated diseases associated with it.
Really?
They have shown through various studies that children who have an outdoor recess time,
Yes.
play outdoors, are 42% less likely to be overweight.
That's a lot. That's a big
And
number.
in the process of that outdoor play and that activity and that kind of thing, they're also building patterns of behavior that will stay with them throughout their life. And we virtually went threw that out the window when TVs were here in every home. It was much easier to stay inside and watch TV.
Of course.
And then it really became a significant problem when suddenly everyone had a computer.
Yeah.
Suddenly everybody had a computer, and it's become a terribly pandemic level issue now that everybody has a personal device.
Yeah. You
They
can't
don't go out to
you don't
play.
go in.
They don't go out to run around and do things and be active and discover the world and learn new things. What they do is they'll just stand, they'll just stare at a screen.
Yeah.
And when you do that, there was I can't remember the name of the movie now, but it was about a little robot who's the last one left on the spaceship. And everybody else is in suspended animation, and this little robot is the only thing doing anything. And it's because everybody had lived their lives on couches watching virtual reality.
Wall-E.
And
Wall-E.
Wall-E.
Yeah.
And so they became obese and
sedentary.
couldn't do anything,
Well, yes.
and then became dependent upon the robots doing everything for them. And but that's a scary look at our future if we don't learn to balance our life and its seriousness and its rational aspects with the delightful idiocy and irrationality of play.
Irrationality. Yeah, you're not rational if you're making believe you're whatever in the course
That's
of
right.
playing.
But it's doing wonderful things with your brain.
Oh,
And one of the things that they've also discovered is that when you play, and no matter what age you are,
right.
is that it helps manage stress.
Hmm.
It can even help people recover from trauma.
Oh my.
It was found that it reduces the cortisol levels, which is a stress response hormone. Cortisol levels rise when you get under stress and that kind of thing, and it's reduced when you play. And those reductions come from going outside to play a game, painting a picture, listening to music, dancing, doing a variety of kinds of things that we would interpret as play.
Okay. You're giving me a.
You can hug a tree and reduce your cortisol level.
Say that one again.
You can hug a tree.
Hug a tree. Hug. I thought you were going to say pretend you're a tree.
We're into that too.
Because I that was a long time ago. I did visit John Muir Forest National Park up near, I think it's San Francisco, and to see those old growth, giant sequoias.
Those are gorgeous.
Wow. But you're also giving me a whole new appreciation for the popularity of cosplay, because people who dress up in some pretty wild costumes sometimes
That's right.
For sure.
That's right.
100% in their fantasy worlds.
This is the theory behind the concept of the holodeck seen on Star Trek: The Next Generation.
God bless.
Was that they needed to have some kind of an outlet for play.
Yeah. Okay.
They had courts, sports courts and things like that. Those are all inferred in it, but they needed to have something that was also mentally challenging.
Okay.
Something that was challenging to their imaginations.
Yeah, Captain Picard liked to make believe he was kind of like Sherlock Holmes.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that was a very real.
Or maybe it was Data, but I remember what you're talking about. Yeah. Wow.
And one of the things then that we can see in its most positive outgrowth is that play bonds groups.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it bonds a family together. When you play as a family, even if it's just playing in your backyard, you're bonding. It bonds on emotional levels. It bonds on intellectual levels. It bonds on social levels. So you can families, friends, groups, communities. When you play together, you bond.
Yeah.
At one point in our country's history, when people would go to the public park, they would expect to see other families and friends there, and it was like, let's just do a game of softball real quick while everybody's here. They would just pull together, even as adults.
I see.
And do a pickup game. Kids did it all the time.
Yeah.
But we became adults, and we were too serious for that kind of thing, because we had forgotten what Einstein had said about reading fairy tales.
Well, I won't go into my childhood specifics, but I can see the contrast. Sometimes I was in play mode, and sometimes I was forbidden, literally forbidden from being in play mode, because my mother was okay with it. My father much less so. He wanted his son to be serious.
Yeah, and he was not alone. There was a large segment. You can go back and you can find psychology books.
Yeah.
From the 40s and 50s.
I don't want to slam him completely, because he did believe toys were important.
Well, that's good.
But I learned later in life that the reason I had so many toys was because he never had toys growing up in the Depression. So he was compensating by giving his son all the toys that he never had.
Yeah.
So
I've actually read old parenting, early versions of the Dr. Spock book.
Oh, sure, Dr. Spock.
But there were versions of that came out by other people, in the 20s and 30s and 40s, and I've read in those just aghast at the fact that they were talking about, warning parents against reading or allowing their children to read fairy tales.
Wow.
And that they should avoid letting them use their imagination.
This is childhood development books from the 1920s.
Yes, because that was unhealthy.
Oh my goodness.
And it would lead to all kinds of psychological issues and problems because the child needed to be firmly grounded in reality.
Yikes.
So as you can see, we did this good job of just, tying people down. And so we get to these periods in time like the 60s. where the 60s is when the tire could not take it anymore and it blew.
Yeah. Kids
because
rebelled.
the restraints and the constraints of society on everybody
rebel without a cause
became so strong.
Yeah.
And it was because we had forgotten how to play.
Mm-hmm.
Everything had to have a purpose. Everything had to, we'd forgotten just how to play for just the sheer fun of playing. As adults, as children, as just everyone.
Now this is also reminding me that comedians force us out of our reality, especially, I don't know how they, what was the audience back in the day, because we're, like the Three Stooges were around the 1930s. And so there were people goofing up on society. This is way before Robin Williams comes along, and people were laughing. And,
That's right.
It was actually mentally healthy. From what
the number one comedic activity in the teens, the 20s, the 30s was vaudeville.
Oh, good old vaudeville. Yes,
vaudeville was within everyone's price range.
Okay.
Because the poor working girl, the factory guy, whatever, they could afford to go to a vaudeville show. They might be up in the peanut gallery, but they could still go to a vaudeville show. And that's why vaudeville was so popular, because it looked at the lowest common denominator. And so they made fun of bosses. They made fun of the rich and stuffy people, and that kind of thing. And they gave people that ability to release some of their stress, release some of their tension of having to always be respectful to their betters.
Oh my goodness.
Because, during that time period, just like in the Gilded Age of the 1890s, we were very much a stratified society.
We were.
You had the good people and the bad people. Bad people being those lower class individuals, the working poor, that kind of thing.
In the Titanic movie, they show the upper class treating the people who are in the lower decks with dismay or disgust.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you have in that.
Yeah.
So it provided that kind of safety valve. So one of the things that everybody was focusing on so much, they were making this emphasis on creating good, smart people. But the funny thing is, when you take play out of the equation, the grades go down.
Okay.
Academic success. Not everything has to be with, have academic success as its goal, but one of the side products of play is the fact that it encourages the imagination. It encourages problem solving. It encourages empathy. It encourages language development, because you're learning how to communicate and understand a wider variety of people from various cultures, socioeconomic levels, geographical territories. You're developing language that is far more efficient and multi-dynamic and multi-dimensional. And you're developing your general knowledge. The old saw about learning it on the streets was really true in many good ways.
Street smarts.
Because children could play, young people could play, and they could get around and they could learn how other people did things. Because We grow up in a bubble, and we have a tendency to do this, and we've always had a tendency to grow up in a little bubble. This is how we've done it.
Of course. That's
It's like
phrase.
the old saw about the woman who always made the meatloaf and cut when she finished the meatloaf. She always cut off the end of it, and her daughter asked her why. Well, my mother always did that. She went to her mother. Mother, why did you always do this? Well, my mother always did it. So she went to Grandma. Grandma said, well, my pan was always too small.
Pan was too small.
And so she would always just, cut off that one little chunk of meat and save it for something else.
That's so funny.
But the way that we live in a bubble, we have a tendency sometimes just to repeat something.
Absolutely.
And so we think we know everything, and then suddenly here out on the street, so to speak, we're learning that there are other ways of doing some things.
Indeed.
There are other ways of addressing this kind of problem, solving this kind of issue, answering this kind of a puzzle. And so those street smarts like that are because you're interacting with other people and you're learning and you're expanding your base knowledge through more than just classroom knowledge, more than just book knowledge, more than just family of origin knowledge. And so you've got those 5 things, those 5 basic things. Play is essential for a healthy brain's development. It reduces obesity and the associated diseases that can come from that. It manages stress, even helps recovery from trauma. It bonds groups at multiple levels, and it contributes to academic success on a variety of frontiers and horizons. So why play? Why read those fairy tales? Because out of this kind of a mix, this hand, so to speak, this is where innovation will emerge. This is where the dream that comes to see through steel,
Yes.
portable phones, things you carry in your hand,
Yes.
that comes from that kind of an environment. Progress comes from those kinds of play-infused, creative, learning, and growing experiences. So why play? Well, it's just like, why run a race? Because it's fun. You want to do it.
Yeah.
It's going to be rewarding to you in some way, either in
go.
money or because you just love the pain of running and and hurting your feet.
Well, no pain, no gain. But
That's
but if you want progress, you have to get outside the old ways we've always
That's
done
right.
things, thinking.
That's right.
And the fact that play helps us break out of those bubbles is a hugely important insight.
That's right.
I-
So parents, you want your children to become Einsteins? Make sure that they have access to the library.
Yeah.
Make sure that they're in a good school. Help them with their homework. Let them play.
Yeah. Let them dress up for Halloween or go to a comic convention.
All those things that allow them to use their imagination, learn those new skills, develop bonds with other people, and grow as a human being. And out of that come the people who will be able to address issues as complex and as abstract as Einstein's wrestling with E equals mc squared.
Yeah.
So let them play. It's not a waste of time. It's an investment in their future and really in ours.
Yeah. Wow.
There you
Marilyn, awesome. Thank you so much for
You're
this
welcome.
talk.
I
Holy
enjoyed
cow.
that.
I enjoyed it too. I'm delighted, and now let me do my little management thing here,
Yes.
where we say goodbye to our viewers, both current and in the future, because this is going to be available. So let me
Mhm.
say thank you all again for participating and hopefully being stimulated to give us feedback, communicate, and also come back next month because September, right? Yeah, wow, we're heading for September. The 13th, Saturday the 13th. You know, September is a World Peace Month along with a lot of other things, and so the topic for September 13th is the quest for peace. Deming, Bucky, and Akoff, three pioneers in answering that very challenging question and doing it thanks to creativity and play, because it's like we've been trying to get there for a whole long time, and I'm glad we haven't given up, but sometimes we have to try things differently. So that'll be the 13th of September.
And in October, we do ghost stories.
October, Halloween month. That's right. So we do Ghosts Along the Road, Marilyn taking the lead, and that's the 11th of October.
And that's going to be some spooky ghost stories.
Oh boy. And the 8th of November, mark your calendars, Finding Kindness Despite the News, with me taking the lead because I don't think the news gives us the fuller picture of our reality. It gives us what they think will sell tickets, so to speak. Okay, enough about that. I don't want to spoil it, but I am again delighted that Marilyn was here for another wonderful talk. Let me find the end live video. There's the end live video. If you end this video now, you'll be able to choose if you want to save it. Okay.